All right, welcome once again to the PCS Playoff Spring 2022. We already are at match point. CFO making this one a speed run. We'll see if MFT can come right back into this and make it a little bit more interesting. But for the time being, I do want to take a moment and thank our wonderful sponsors, CDBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you both for making the PCS possible. Now, Nightstar, we're getting back to the drawing board. We're getting the board out and trying to see what can MFT do to get back into this one. They are on blue side. What sort of draft adjustments do you want to see this team make?
Draft-wise, I'd like to see, Taco being able to get a little bit more attention. Of course, he has received some ban help in the second phase. But, I think more than just the draft phase, just don't give a quadra kill over to Jinx at 4 minutes, right?
Yeah, that's definitely something that should be on every team's to-do list, but unfortunately, Meta Falcon team definitely didn't listen on that particular front. Shun popped off incredibly in that game. It was such a fast one. Ended up, I think, 22 and a half minutes or something. But this time around, you got to get that out of your head, right? You got to start thinking about, okay, even though back's against the wall, it's still a clean slate. You still have the opportunity. Technically, nothing's changed for MFT. They still got to win 3 games if they want to get ahead in the playoffs and get into the next round. But they dropped this one. They will be going into the lower bracket up against Frank Esports. Let's see if they've got something else in the tank, though.
Yeah, we're headed into pick and ban. It's MFT still on the blue side. I expect to see very similar ban setups coming in from game number 2. As MFT, they go ahead, ban away the Zir once more. That was a bit of a curious ban in my eyes, just because I think the Orianna is a more pressing matter, but CFO clearly just kind of said, well, we'll just pick the Zoe just to flex on you. I don't know if they'll go back to that Zoe pick, because like if we try and nitpick in that game number 2, mission on Zoe wasn't exactly it.
Yeah, I agree. Wait. I agree. It was,
hang on.
Weird. What? Hold up. This is a Jinx first pick. This is a Jinx first pick. Alert. We do not have the Graves first pick. MFT are doing something different. I love it.
It's a pivot. They've changed things up. They've gotten themselves the Jinx this time around. Of course, CFO got 2 games of Jinx and it worked out pretty well for them. MFT, we'll see what they can do with this pick, because it looks like CFO, they don't want to pick the Graves up themselves. So that means MFT still have the opportunity, if they want to play that Graves champion. And CFO, I mean, Shun has shown he is extremely proficient on the lethality Xayah. So I'm sure he's fine with locking that in here.
Yeah, and he'll probably just go for the Rakan on the next rotation as well. Once again, Gemini gets the big bear, and honestly, he's looked really good on this champion. The Lee Sin ban that is constantly thrown up by MFT here, I understand why they do it. It's justified. Problem is, yeah, Gemini says, like, that's fine. It's okay. Like, his Volibear's been really good at diving towers. He's had extremely good Stormbringers, and I wonder if you can really stop this man. MFT playing a little bit more defensively now as they give Renhao the Braum. Jinx Braum lane, of course, a classic combination going back years. Get those Winter's Bite procs up a little earlier. Let's see what the mid lane pick is, if Wen wants to take this one or if they opt into a jungle option for 665. Graves is still available, but I'd love to see a little more engage, even though he's much more of a damage dealing jungler. We are going to see the rise for Wen blind, though.
Yeah, Rise gets locked in. Now CFO, they have the option to go ahead, lock in the Orianna for themselves. I don't see any issue with that if they want to try and play it. Zoe's still currently being hovered. Maybe he wants to have a second go at it.
He's an Orianna man through and through, Nightstar. Thinking about it, but it was up and available. They got a great ball delivery system in the form of the Volibear. So this is going to be another matchup that Wen's going to have to watch himself. 665 as well if he wants to come into the lane. Into the ban phase 2 we go, though. And that's going to be a Tryndamere off the board.
Yeah, and here, this is, I feel like, a clear opening for MFT to try and go for a Diana pick here, because you look at this MFT draft so far, they don't have any backline threat. So even if you pick some sort of deep engaged champion like a Malphite, there's no damage to follow up on that Malphite if he gets access to that backline, right? Because you have this Rise pick, and he would have to get really fancy with his positioning, and you also have a Braum, so no way to really get or yoink a backline member into towards your team and pick them off at the start of a fight. So I would love to see the Diana come out here. So for CFO, they've also realized that dive could be an issue, and they've gone ahead, banned away the Tryndamere, banned away the Nocturne. So I actually like that set of bans from CFO.
Absolutely. So the Diana is certainly an option. We'll have to see if it comes up here. I think for CFO size, yeah, Rakan available. Although they are hovering on the Bard for right now. This would be a lot of a roaming style champion, but the Rakan can do the same.
Not a bad option.
They are going to let this one go through. Bard comes through. Okay. All right, nice start. It's time to chime.
Yeah, and I mean, the bot lane options are just so plentiful when you do see an early Braum pick, right? Because Braum is one of those champions like Tahm Kench that you can really abuse in the lane phase, and it really opens up a lot of these enchanters to dominate. And the other thing with Bard is that he's going to be able to roam very, very readily. And against a Braum that kind of wants to stay towards that bottom half of the map, it's going to open things up for Koala to make plays. But MFT, they lock in a Sejuani and a Viego, which means one of these jungle champions has to go top lane.
Yeah, that is an interesting couple of lock-ins. The Viego, I certainly could have seen coming for the likes of 665. Would have liked the Diana as well, but they've got a Sejuani. This could be a top tank pick for Taco. They could maybe switch it up a little bit more here, but oh my goodness, there is going to be a lot of lockdown on the side of MFT. They're going to try to spoon-feed this Jinx, and now there's going to be a Graves pick on the CFO side in Rest's hands.
Yeah, and I think this is going to end up being that top lane Sejuani. Of course, it still could be a late pivot, but when you think about what Taco is willing to do for this team and how 665 wants to play the game, he wants those carry style junglers in his hands. It feels more likely he gets that into his hands. And for CFO, it felt like they wanted to tease. Maybe they throw the Volibear up into that top side, but having the Graves makes the most sense, right? The Volibear in the hands of Gemini has just been very, very clinical so far. Putting him on a third game of it makes the most sense here.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the Volibear once again comes out. Now we get to see in Rest's hands the Graves up against the Sejuani. Going to have that range advantage. For this MFT side, though, it is an interesting pivot. I think 665 with the Viego, he's going to have some pressure to try and get some snowball going, but they have options. They have two big damage-dealing threats now between that Viego and the Jinx. We'll have to see if this works out, because MFT, they are backed against the wall right now. They need to find a win, or this is going to be a quick series.
Certainly be that 3-0 for the side of CFO, and for MFT, if they want a reverse sweep to take this series, it has to start now.
Absolutely. That's the only opportunity left to them, or option left to them, I should say. Here we go into Summoner's Rift for the third time tonight. Match point. CTBC Flying Oyster flying high on a 2-0 right now. If they can secure a third, they'll set themselves up for a nice and easy glide into matchup against J-Team, as we get quite a nice view on the horizon of Summoner's Rift. If you see the full map of it, when we do zoom out, it kind of looks like it's a bit of an isolated plateau, Nightstar. I wonder how far away in the world of Runeterra Summoner's Rift is. Remote destination.
Could be. Also could just be MFT feeling very, very isolated themselves, because it's a bit of a lonely island at this point.
Great band, by the way.
Very true.
Oh, Koala.
Now, they can kill this Pesky Bard.
If he goes in for the ward, level 1 shenanigans is great. You gotta love the cheese. They're waiting. Oh, okay, no chance here as Taco backs out. You gotta take your time on this one.
And one of the cool things, of course, that MFT have drafted is the fact that, you know, you have this Sejuani, but the Sejuani Braum combination is fantastic, right? And Rest, he could run into some problems here.
He could.
Oh, wait, I think Taco scuffed that one up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, the potential of them being able to just kill Rest here because of the lockdown provided by E. Of course, you would have to skill E, and E isn't actually very useful for you in the lane phase. But the possibility was there. They just jumped in. But they don't. And it's just going to be a bunch of time trying to be wasted for 665. We'll see how he approaches this early game. Now that he has a different champion that can gank, by the way, which is a little bit different from the Graves, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, the Graves did get some good damage out, but the ganks on the Graves, you need, you know, a little dependent on getting that CC yourself. You've got the Spectral Maw on a Viego, so it's a little bit more effective. Early on the bot side, we're already seeing Shun and Koala bully out Whale and Renhao. Just so much poke between the Blade Caller and the Meep slaps. 665 on Krugs now going to be facing off against Gemini, a level disadvantage already as he's getting bullied himself. Sky Splitter comes in, going to bring Renhao and Whale as well. CFO just not stopping. Gemini is in some trouble. Going to be calling for backup now. A really great W from the Jinx. Opens up First Blood, and that is the best case scenario for 665 and MFT.
Yeah, I mean, CFO, they tried to run the same play that they ran in game number 1, right? Where, or not game number 1, but game number 2, where they just had Gemini threaten that red buff. But unfortunately, 665 had already completed the red buff. So Gemini making that rotation ends up giving up First Blood. That is huge for the side of MFT. This is the first time they actually have a gold lead in this series. And now 665, he might just hand the gold right back over.
Yeah, he has to know that that was going to be a bit of a trap. So he walks down on the Harrowed Path. Here's the Sirens coming, gets out of the way, and it's a good start for 665 on this Viego. Gets the buff transfer and refresh as well as the First Blood gold. We'll see what he can do with it here. Taco trying to set up a freeze in this top side. Pun very much intended. 665 will have to keep our eyes on this man. Level 6 is certainly going to be a big one for the Meta Falcon team side.
Level 6 will certainly be huge. And the other big plus here coming in from this Sejuani pick is, of course, you were a little bit concerned that, hey, if we pick something like a Malphite who kind of has to commit his body into the engage when he goes in, right? When he uses that ultimate and dives onto the back line, he also puts himself in the middle of the fray. That's not the case for something like a Sejuani. So you can be a little bit more, you can kind of fish for plays rather than fully commit to them in the case of the Sejuani, which I do like here because they would love to find picks, but at the same time, it might not always be possible given their situation.
You're right. It's a little tricky. Gemini continuing for a counter jungle here as 665 is in danger of running into him and Koala. Oh no, the face check. Has to burn the flash. He is going to get out on that, but close call here is Gemini Koala just continuing to roam as a duo around this map. Another thing that a Bard can let you do is run a little wild across the way. You have those magical journeys to cover the distance quickly.
Yeah, Koala actually tried to go for a prediction flash, because he actually flashed upwards in the hopes that 665 would flash towards his tier 1 tower, but he ends up flashing towards the tier 2, and they miss out on an opportunity. Yep, see, right there.
Bit of a whoopsie.
I think, yeah. I mean, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? And now, Rest, he is not missing any shots.
Nope, got a few more in the chamber. Going to have to reload, though. Will buy Taco enough time to get out of there, but As expected, with a ranged champion versus melee, going to be a little tougher. Now, there is a collateral damage. He's going to launch it just to interrupt the back, and that's got to be really irritating for Taco. So Rest is going to get a plate off of this, or at least should get close to it.
Yeah, and the big thing here is the fact that it's going to force out the teleport coming in from Taco. So MFT, they go ahead, turn their attention over towards this dragon, but the collapse is coming in from CFO, possibly.
Here's Mission and Koala. They do hop the wall here.
Just be a two-man.
Koala is very far forward for not having a whole lot of backup. Shun finally comes here. I don't know if they can test this one. That is going to be the smite down, and MFT
Gemini's
actually finding an opening. Mission ignited. Renhao taking a little bit of damage, and they are just going to get the heck out of Dodge on the party portal. MFT, a little bit of guerrilla tactics, hit and run, but they do manage to grab themselves the first dragon.
Yeah, and for the first time, MFT are a little bit ahead of the play, rather than behind. As Gemini, he was busy farming away top side, and Mission ends up peeking in and says, yo, jungler, we kind of need you at the dragon. So he ends up being behind. By the time he gets there, MFT already secured the dragon, and I think they could have looked for the fight, but the moment they took a large chunks of damage, it was immediately, well, we just got to try and bail out with the realm warp, and that's what they're able to do. So all things considered, not too bad, but they are back to being behind when it comes to the gold differential.
Yeah, just a little bit more efficient on the CFO side at the time being. And Renhao and Whale going to actually find a lot of Cosmic Bindings and some Feathers as well. Whale taken incredibly low as the Ignite ticks down. Mission and Gemini are here, so is Wen. This is a party down bot side. They're actually going to turn their attention. No, the Shockwave completely misses. A rare whiff for Mission.
Yeah, really nice proc of the phase rush there in that instance. Being able to get that boost of movement speed allowed them to dodge out, and now they're just going to get mid lane priority, shift their attention towards this Rift Herald, or at the very least, get that Scuttle Crab. I think they should be looking at trying to get both here, as that should be the play, and now it's just a matter of where do they throw that extra gold into. Of course, the cleared target is that Jinx, but I actually don't think it's bad to get the Sejuani up ahead, because Sejuani can be one of those big damage tanks as well, with how much work she can get done with the E. But now a dive bot lane.
Yeah, Renhao going to try and body block out. A really good Flame Chompers will not be nearly enough to stop this from coming in for round two. Whale trying desperately to push there. It's going to be Gemini on the dive through. The double kill comes in for Shun, who is so far ahead in this lane once again. I was about to talk about how his farm is just ridiculous compared to Whale at the moment, who's fallen so far behind, but also the double kill makes a huge difference. Mission pushing Wen back, and CFO still driving this game. Here we go, the flash follow in. Wen baiting it out as 665 comes through, looks for the Heartbreaker. Misses on it. Play to the Rune King. He does need a little bit more. Tried for the prediction, but Mission went back, not forward. And on the Spectral Maw, he will be able to clean it up.
Hey, at the very least, he still got the kill. That was the more important part. But going back to what you said about this bottom lane, like, this bot lane is almost impossible to play. Whenever you early pick Braum, you should fully expect, if the other side just plays an Enchanter, you don't ever get to play the game if you are the Braum. It's just, it just doesn't work out at all whatsoever, and this Bard is just absolutely dominating the lane phase as well. So you have the extra range advantage. Bard is also one of those champions that does tons of damage as a support. So if Whale ever walks up, eats a meat slap to the face, eats a Q, eats an ignite, all of a sudden you're down to 30% HP.
Yep, more or less. He's not the only one. Oh, there goes the Tempered Fate, lands smack in the middle of Wen, and that is nothing you can do. Good night, Wen, as Mission picks himself up his first kill of the game. A beautiful collapse on the CFO side, and they're still about 2,000 gold in the driver's seat right now. I think the big difference between this game and all the others has been 665 able to get ahead in this one as he has that Divine Sunder. But will it be enough? Koala coming right back again. Shun in a 1v2 has just been able to push this lane so far, and this is bot laner diff, Nightstar.
Yeah, Another one of those issues, right? If you're a Braum, if you don't have Flash, or if you want to commit to a 1v2 in that bot lane, you have to really force the Flash play, and that's not something you always want to commit. If you are that support player, it's a lot easier if you are something like a Nautilus, like the Leona, because you have just multiple, you have so many more tools of engage if you miss one of your spells. But that's not the case for a Braum. If he misses Flash Q, it's all done, dusted. Now, in this mid lane, we've got another party going on.
Looks like everybody decided they want to try to take that one home a little bit later. So after looking at each other menacingly, everybody continues on their merry way. 665 Renhao and Wen going to be moving up towards the top side rest. Will he see this coming? Blast going over. Wen doesn't get the one he wanted, but it doesn't really matter here. And in comes the Sejuani to set things up, and the four-man dive takes a moment, but they do manage to pull it off. What's the answer, though? Gemini is actually just going for a dragon while the push goes on bottom. I think this is still going to be first turret for the side of CFO, because there's no concerted push here for the likes of MFT. They actually back away after the fact.
And now...
Well, Flash, tries for the prediction. Doesn't matter, they have enough damage left over. Koala, completely whiffs it, though. And a bit funky there, but they still get the kill.
Yeah, a little bit tragic there that Koala ends up dying, doesn't time the ultimate fast enough, and he ends up getting traded out. So for Whale, personally, that's a pretty good win, right? You didn't have to burn summoners, and you still go 1 for 1. All in all, though, still CFO, you got to favor them in that trade overall, because they are able to get the mid lane tower, the kill, and the bot lane tower. And
Koala.
Yeah, we get to see the replay. Koala, not his finest moment.
Yeah, still sets up for the kill, but yeah, a little bit of an oopsie. Flashes, misses everything.
Could have vaulted
now
the
he's
tower.
Even getting outranged by the hex gates. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. I think he could have started with the ult on the tower, to be honest. Gemini gonna find Wen. All right, into Rune Prison he goes. Wen walks it out. Mission down on the side lane, gonna be able to keep this one pushing. And again, CFO continue their march into enemy territory. MFT just haven't really been able to control their jungles this series, not very effectively, anyways.
Yeah, and for the side of MFT, this is the most competitive game we've had so far, right? And at the very least, 665, he does have that completed Divine Sunder. He is building towards that Rune King, and now they might find a gank top.
They do get the permafrost stacks on, trying to set up for another kill. However, he's making them work for it here. Taco actually takes a lot of tower shots. 665 will get the kill. Meanwhile, Gemini down bottom goes in for round 2 on the Stormbringer, stunned up. Doesn't get knocked up on the Glacial Fissure as he goes in the stopwatch, and the flash, and the smack, and he gets the outplay. Mission chases Renhao out of it, but that was a nice 1v2.
Wow. I did not expect that sort of damage. Of course, it is PTA Volibear, so the amount of extra damage he gets off of that PTA proc apparently was enough with the extra execute power coming in from the W, so he heals a large chunk, and CFO once again come out ahead. That being said, Taco still trying to do what he can, coming in with that teleport.
Shun and Koala going to get caught up. Let's see if Taco can find the answer. Shun is going to get permafrosted into the Featherstorm after the flash. The rocket comes in, and he is going to be able to walk away as Mission tags his way forward on the teleport. Nice try from MFT there. They just didn't have quite enough damage, and Shun is able to slip his way to freedom.
It will be CFO able to still get out of that situation, and they do burn the teleport onto Taco. So a lot of playmaking potential taken away from MFT for the next couple of minutes. And Taco, I mean, he's looked really good on this Sejuani pick. And he's trying to flex his muscles as much as he can.
See if it's going to be enough, though. The name of the game seems to be getting 665 as ahead as possible, and Taco has also been a big part of that. But CFO have the map advantage, they have the momentum, and they will be able to parlay that into another Rift Herald here at 16 minutes. A split on the Dragon Stack. As you mentioned, it is the most competitive game we've had this series, just by default, but as MFT have options, it feels like CFO are always moving just a little bit faster.
Yeah, and now with the second Rift Herald, they should be able to break this top tower. It's just a matter of, are they able to push for more? Doesn't look like Gemini's thinking about committing to more, although they are starting to move up into that top side
Taco
jungle.
waits.
Taco is around, though.
And they got Renhao as well. This is...
Everyone's on the way from MFT.
But not CFO. I think they are going to back away. A lot of commitment expended. Lasco and Gemini just waiting for that one. Ooh, kind of waiting a long time, but he does get out. Renhao, oh, all he need to do is Q. There we go. Wall is going to back away. But meanwhile, look what's happening down bottom. Rest, the Immortal Shield Bow just pushing down solo. Doesn't have another tower to take, though. They already got that inner.
Yeah, he is very out.
Oh, boy. You might be dead, Rest.
He's far from home.
Oof.
Might need to phone
See if
home.
he has... He might have no way home. Oh, boy. Interim prison. Dashing, dodging, diving, collateral damaging. He's trying it all, but it's no pool party. Rest is going down. 665. No, he gets the kill stolen away by Wen. This opens up CFO, though, to take themselves a Hex Tech Drake. They have the damage for it. So even Rest kind of baiting a little.
Rest, okay. It looks like they're collapsing,
Gemini?
though.
Wait just a second. I don't know if Gemini was
665.
ready for all of that. And the Heartbreaker is going to have to deny it at this point. The rest of CFO, Temper Fates comes down. It does manage to land on a one target. They have enough damage to keep it going here. Taco, MFT do have the opportunity here. Shockwave, it's going to be able to clip them down. Gemini does fall. And Whale on the front line has the damage. Shun, he's going down. He's getting excited. Shut down Gold into the Jinx's pocket again. They're going to look for another. Double shutdowns, Nightstar! Meta Falcon team have found some answers.
Pyro, we're in business, baby! Whale found the cash-in. That was essentially a Merc cash-in in TFT. They sacked so much of the early game, and boom! They finally cashed out. So we get to see the replay. I mean, Gemini hanging around here was just a mistake. I think he might have clicked the Hextech portal actually, which self-stun locked him in that moment, and as a result, ends up overstaying his welcome. So MFT, they go in, turn on, and I mean, Mission almost single-handedly pulls it back into their favor, but not being able to get the shutdown onto 665 immediately means that that extra time bought was actually more than enough for MFT to then get Wen to rejoin the fight and then just wipe them out with the power of the Jinx. So Jinx looking good so far in all three games.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter who's piloting her. It seems Whale had the opportunity and he took it, able to get 2 shutdowns to try and get more gold back for himself. Still behind in the farm game. Yeah, he's still down to, I mean, this is, Farm and Shun's been ahead as well, but that was a nice play for MFT. You also got to give it to 665, who's just been a constant threat on this side lane. But yeah, CFO really caught snoozing on that one. They are still the team making the play. They still have the tempo advantage. Here comes Taco, and he does land a big ultimate onto the Bard. Koala is going to get deleted, and that Shockwave just didn't do enough. Now CFO going to be scattered for the hills. That's going to be the Featherstorm. Pulls it all right on back, but Shun is isolated. Well done! And another shutdown there, this time for Taco. Mission going to be caught alone on his side. Into the Heartbreaker, 665. They're rolling forward.
That could be
Rest isn't even in this fight. I think it is. Baron spawns, but Rest is going to try to make it worth.
They have to turn their attention towards this Baron buff for the side of MFT. The only thing is, technically, Gemini still could make a steal happen. It would be a very difficult task, but if he finds a steal, that he essentially just flips the entire script.
This is getting a little hairy right now. They need to stop the bear. Gemini, okay, he's out of this one. That's got to be the secure. Well, this is a very, very wonky Baron as it's going down so early. It does get picked up. The smite is right for 665, and tense moment there, Nightstar, but Meta Falcon team definitely in the lead this game, definitively for the first time this series.
Wow. This Sejuani pick has been fantastic. Being able to have a little bit extra long-range engage, And then this was so well played coming in from Renhao, and it shows you why, even though like this Braum didn't ever get to play the game during the lane phase, finally he gets to see a little bit of screen time here in that last team fight. Being able to block the feathers prevents MFT from getting shut down, and that's why they're able to actually get that kill onto Shun. Otherwise, that would have been a triple lockdown from the Feather Storm, and that would have been just honestly a pretty highlight moment for Shun, and yet another highlight moment in this series for him. But instead, he dies, and man, now MFT, this is I don't want to jinx things, but it does.
You can
look
jinx
good.
things. Whale's already fed, but they are looking like they will have an opportunity to keep this series alive here if they can keep it going. Still very close in the gold game. It's only a 500 gold lead. A lot of that difference sits in the towers, however, and MFT are looking to try and knock a few more down here in the mid. Mission and Gemini going to look to hold the line against this Baron-empowered push. Got to be careful. Rest is going to get locked down. Dashes the wall. Dodges the rocket.
Oh, wait.
Realm Warp. Only when takes it. This is a bit wonky. They got to reset.
Oh, and now, I mean, MFT, they shouldn't get a little. They shouldn't overextend themselves too far, right? Because they still can just go ahead, take this dragon. There's no need to overforce things, but it looks like they want to try and take the fight.
They're the ones getting poked out a little bit. You have to be careful. 665 waits around.
Oh no, he's caught out.
The Tempered Fate, and Whale gets just blown to bits as Rest starts it off with the kill. 665 running for the hills. Gemini on the front line, and the rest of the team are just cleaning up, and it was MFT in the lead, but this time they're finding themselves completely and utterly shut down.
Pyro, they could have just turned for the dragon.
They could have. Instead,
man.
Rest in pepperonis.
Man, oh man, it could have been it, but MFT, they get a little bit caught out in that choke point. I mean, it was well played coming in from CFO, forcing the MFT bot lane to pass through that choke point in order to set up for this Tempered Fate, right? And I mean, Whale was just a little bit indecisive on how he wanted to position himself. If he wanted to walk forward, if he just committed to walking backwards the entire way, it would have been fine. And now MFT, like, the tables have turned once more. And CFO in firm control. They're one dragon off from Hex Texel as well. And now Whale forced to flash. So he won't have that tool for the next dragon, the all-important next dragon, as Dragon Soul on the table. And man, as much as I'd love to rave about Taco's heroics on this Sejuani pick, which I would certainly label a front runner for MVP if they were to win, that's only if they win.
And you can't give an MVP to the team that loses it out, but CFO, you know, they claw the lead back. Koala has a great setup there for the Tempered Fate. Lands onto the most important member. Whale completely deleted. Excellent timing and coordination. CFO had been looking a little iffy, and MFT had been finding those fights, had been playing so great, but they just lose their heads when they didn't have to, Nightstar. I mean, if there's ever a time to spam not like this in the chat, it's probably now.
They do have
another
one split from the rest of his team. They can go.
Oh, but they find the Glacial Fissure, this time onto Gemini. Doesn't really do enough.
Oh, Realm Warp.
And Realm Warp brings in Wen. Solo to the party. Shockwave goes in. Here comes Gemini, and he just Goomba stomps with the help of his team. Rest trying to 1v1. Dodges the wall. 665 is going to run out of steam, and that is going to be the ace. That's going to be the base, and they might go for the end in the 3-0 here.
I think that's just it. They have more than a large enough wave here, and it is a complete A, so
that's it.
It's just going to be a
nice
3-0.
CFO, they're going to get the clean sweep after all. I do not believe it. MFT just had such a good fight and such a good turn. The heroics of Taco were shining through, but in the end, All it took is one mistake, and CFO clap right back to complete the sweep.
It's not surprising with the end result, but how we got there, certainly a couple more twists and turns than what we expected.
Oh, yeah.
And MFT, they gave it a good go. And I think, honestly, that's all you can really ask from this 6-seeded squad. And hopefully, it's a very fast turnaround, though, because tomorrow they are going to be playing Franked Esports, which I would say is a much more even matchup. But the fact that they have to go from just a 3-0 drubbing straight into the next series is something to factor in.
That is certainly not going to help the confidence. However, they have had some good games up against Frank during the course of the regular season, so should be able to play on that team's level a little bit easier. However, it just seemed like they couldn't quite get it together. The first game definitely got a bit exposed in their strategy. Second game, that unfortunate situation down bottom, they lose out the quadra kill in 5 minutes into the game. That definitely sets the tone. But this third game, Nightstar, they had so many chances. They had the opportunities. Things were rolling forward. Whale had the kills on the Jinx. They had the fight opportunities. They had 665 getting fed on the Viego. But they just let themselves get baited into a bad corridor. They get chunked out, try to push their luck a little too hard. And CFO, they're like sharks, man. They smell blood in the water, and they don't let go after they go into the kills.
Yeah, and the bar pick was perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, there is that one blunder in that mid lane, right?
Well, it was a continuous blunder, but yeah, it still worked out in the end. I think Koala was having a little bit of fun with that one. Really, really brutal Bard play to set up not only picks, but dives, to bait teams into trying to chase him around the map. I think Shun was having such a great time in that laning phase. At one point, I think it was like 70 farm to 35 of Whale, and Whale still got back into the game off the back of the team fights, but there's a reason I think we're seeing Shun.
1k gold even after those big shutdowns. Like, that just shows you how dominant Shun was in this particular game, but just in the series in general. So, I mean, if we're talking about series MVP, I really have to give it to Shun because, I mean, even taking away that Jinx game in between, right? The game number 1 Jinx was pretty effective as well. And in this third game, the Xayah was just absolutely dominant. So overall, great 3-game series coming in from Shun. And that's more than what you can ask for from a rookie coming into his first playoff series.
Certainly. I think it was when we first saw him on the Rift, wondering exactly if this was going to be like a more long-term situation or just getting their new AD carry a bit more experience in exchange for Atlan. No, he was certainly the guy from the get-go. He played admirably, and at first he was kind of just rolling over weaker bot lanes, but then he started doing the same thing to the stronger ones in the league. And CFO, it seems like the one weakness they really had, which was Atlan's early game, had been shored up. And at the moment, they didn't really present too many weaknesses. A few head-scratcher plays in game number 3 there, but it didn't end up mattering. They took the fights when it counted. And CFO can, analyze a couple of mistakes, so maybe a few moments where they lost their heads, but they really were able to bring it right back when it counted. And a clean sweep has got to feel good as they set themselves up for the next round play against J-Team next week. And, well, as a number 3 seed, winning that tiebreaker, they had a few weeks where they fell behind in the standings, and now they're right back into it. I'm feeling pretty good about this team, and I think CFO certainly should be confident going into their next round.
Yeah, and it will be a much bigger test going in from MFT and straight into J-Team. Of course, J-Team are number 2 seeded squad. They really closed out the split incredibly strong, but CFO possibly getting hot at just the right time, right? It doesn't really matter about the early or even the mid portion of the split. As long as you get hot towards the end, straight into playoffs, that's the right time to peak.
Yeah, speaking of peaks, it was all a gold peak towards the end there for CFO, but this was one of the more. balanced games. One of the closest games that we had seen in the series. Well, the closest game we saw in the series because there's only 3 of them. But all in all, we just saw CFO strength to strength in terms of what they were able to do. I think rest on this Graves was probably the pick that I was maybe even the least impressed by, but he still got a lot of damage where it counted. Missions Oriana, everybody knows what this can do. And 3 games out of Gemini for Volibear kind of proves that they just really can't do teams really can't do a whole lot against this guy. You can't really ban him out. Sure, he's played a lot of Lee Sin, but he's got other options, and Koala will win the MVP for this game. Just binding after binding after binding. Yes. Sure, he had a happy gaming moment or two, Nightstar, but he still delivered when it counted.
Yeah, and part of the lane dominance, the large CS gap generated by Shun was because of the Bard into Braum matchup. So Koala fully dominating this side of the matchup, having the Enchanter in his hands, and that allowed Shun to just amass such a large gold lead that even with the double shutdowns going on to the Jinx, it wasn't enough to close that gold gap. And Koala, of course, had that key play at the end, being able to catch out both of, or Whale in particular, with that Tempered Fate, setting up for a very quick double kill and just swinging that match pretty much into its conclusion.
Yeah, no, I really like the Bard pick overall and delivered when it counted for sure. Koala winning the MVP. I do think you're right, though, on the series. I want to give that one to Shun as well. We'll have to see. Maybe that's going to be the case. But either way, everybody from CFO could be pretty happy about how that 3-0 went on the whole. But we are prepping ourselves an interview with Ririchu. We'll be right back after a short break.